Lero ni lero.
Kila mtu atoe kofia tafadhali. Karibu sana baba. Karibu baba. Karibishe baba kwa makofi. Karibishe baba kwa makofi.
Tunasema Kenya mpya inawezekana. Inawezekana.
DJ.
Inawezekana.
Inawezekana.
Leo ni leo. Kenya mpya inawezekana. Inawezekana. Leo ni leo. Nchi ambayo kuna raha na ustawi. Inawezekana.
Shangwe na vigelegele kwa baba. Inawezekana. Leo ni leo. Shangwe na vigelegele kwa baba. DJ ongeza kitu.
Lero ni lero. Lero ni lero.
DJ ongeza sauti.
Inawezekana. Leo ni leo. Inawezekana. Ndoto yao ambayo walisema ni leo. Mungu bariki nchi hii yetu ya Kenya. Inawezekana. Haki hii ngao na mduzi. Leo ni leo. Tukae na ndugu. Inawezekana. Amani na uhuru. Leo ni leo. Raha. Inawezekana. Tupate na ustawi. Leo ni leo. Leo ni leo.
Baba. Haya. His Excellency Raila Odinga, all distinguished guests, Yala Secretariat, all leaders, hamjambo. Baba power. Yala power. Democracy power. Baba, today we are very privileged to have you here as our father of democracy. All these young people, they are here with a lot of hope for the democracy you fought for this country. We as Yala, we are here today to evaluate the status of democracy in Kenya. Ndio tuone, if at all, we are in the right state. And Baba, we know, because you are still alive, you will support us, help us, so that we can get into your shoe and continue fighting for democracy of Kenya. Sawa sawa? Baba power. Kwa sababu baba nakimbia mahali, tunataka tuende haraka haraka. Sawa sawa? Yeah. So nataka nikaribishe team leader Tabi aje hapa, I introduce the Yala team, and then from there atuambie more about Yala. Sawa sawa? Karibu Tabi.
Your Excellency Baba Raila Odinga, Senator Mazayo, all youthful leaders in here, I greet you all. Good morning. So my name is Rachel Tabitha, a national youth leader and executive director for Yala. I'll read you briefly through the background of Yala, all right? I know you know what Yala is all about, but I'd like to bring all of us on the same page. So Young African Leaders Organization was founded in the year 2020 by one vibrant national youth leader, Ms. Rachel Tabitha, with an aim of educating young people on the significance of actively participating in leadership roles and aspiring to become leaders in various sectors of society. The organization is focused on empowering younger generation to embrace leadership positions and make a positive impact on the African communities and the continent as a whole. Governed by its constitution and set goals, Yala seeks to bridge the knowledge and skills gap among the youth by providing training, mentorship, and conferences, and it aims to equip young individuals with the necessary tools and knowledge to effectively lead and contribute to the development of their communities, as well create a supportive and nurturing environment for the youth to learn, grow, and to thrive. Yala operates with a national secretariat, a national board of youthful members, and the 47 county coordinators. And so far, we have 5 country coordinators from Congo, Nigeria, South Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, with an aim of reaching more African countries to promote Pan-Africanism and ensure Africa takes a global stage on matters developments, good governance, economy, democracy, and youth leadership. In conclusion, a few weeks ago, Yala sought audience with His Excellency Engineer Dr. Raila Odinga through Mr. Edward Keta Onyango to have a detailed conversation of Kenya's democracy, which is currently at risk. We recognize Baba as the father of democracy in Kenya. By one, briefly, advocated for the introduction of multi-party democracy in Kenya. 2, he formed strategic... Thank you. So, why we recognize Baba as the father of democracy? Number 1, he advocated for the introduction of multi-party democracy in Kenya. Number 2, he formed strategic alliances and political coalitions to challenge the ruling regime then. Number 3, he mobilized support for the opposition in the year 2002 general elections, leading to the end of KANU's long-standing rule. Number 4, continuously pushed for electoral reforms to enhance transparency and accountability in the electoral process. Number 5, actively participated in the drafting and promoting of the 2020 Constitution of Kenya, which introduced significant democratic reforms. 6, promoted the expansion of political rights, such as freedom of speech that we all enjoy today, assembly, as we are here today. Thank you. And association. 7, actively defended civil liberties, including media freedom and the protection of human rights. 8, engaged in peaceful protest and demonstrations to push for democratic reforms. It's okay. 9, and second last, played a vital role in negotiating and mediating political conflicts, aiming to ensure democratic processes and solutions. Number 10, and the last, but that is not the last actually, you could get a lot of it. But number 10 for today, contributed to the strengthening of democratic institutions and the rule of law through its advocacy and engagement in the political arena. These reasons plus many others illustrate how Right Honorable Raila Odinga has played a pivotal role in shaping Kenya's democracy landscape and establishing himself as a prominent figure in the fight of democracy in this country. Now, while upstanding all of us, allow me to welcome His Excellency Engineer Enigma of politics, Baba himself, Baba Raila Odinga.
Hello. Vijana hoi. Vijana hoi. Welcome. You may be seated. Now, this Tabitha here is like my granddaughter and daughter at the same time. Some people did not know him, only knew him in uniforms, because he was one of our combat soldiers during the demonstrations. So this is MDD. And she actually excelled herself. She is somebody who is very determined, dedicated, and very, very courageous indeed. That's why when she told me that the youth wanted to have an audience with me, how could I say no? I cannot say no to Tabitha. But you know, in an earlier incarnation, we were called the Young Turks. We were the youth, like you people. When we started, we were the youth at that time. So we were called the Young Turks. And we were 5 of us. Paul Mite, James Orengo, Professor Nyang Nyongo, and Joager, and yours truly. Today you're now old Turks. Today you're old Turks. So life is like a stream. The river is flowing from the mountain and the water flows and gets to the ocean. Others are coming. So you see, you guys are somewhere in that process of that journey. We are somewhere here nearing the ocean. But it continues. I say that the old were also young. Because I say youth is a transient status. Okay? The difference between the old and the young is just very simple. That the old have at one time been young also. They've been youth before. So they know what it means to be a youth and also know what it means to be old. But the young do not know what it means to be old because they have never been old. They have never been old. So the difference between the old and the young is what is called experience. Experience. You see somebody doing something, you see he's making a mistake, but let him learn from his mistake. Because they say, I wish I could advise him not to do what he's trying to do right now. But that is how the way of nature. Now, I have listened very carefully to what Tabitha said about the youth Yala. And we are here today, once again, at a crossroads as a country. They say the more things change, the more they remain. Yes. See, the Kenya as a country was founded in 1963 after a very long heroic struggle of the people of Kenya. I happen to have been present as a youth witnessing the struggle. And I saw how the older ones, who are older than us, we were young people, babies actually, how they were struggling, how the youth were being arrested, how the youth were being imprisoned. It was a very fierce battle. And it was across the whole country. Those youth who fought at that time now, most of them are either dead or are now very old. So Kenya then attained independence, and everybody was so happy. I happened myself to be out of the country at that time studying, but remember us standing there, there's a time differential of 2 hours between Kenya and where we were. But it was exactly at midnight when the Kenyans assembled at what is called Uhuru Gardens. And then the Union Jack was lowered and the Kenyan flag was hoisted. Kenya became independent in 1963, December. So Kenyan people were very, very optimistic. So the most optimistic people in the world. You have now conquered. You have a new flag. You have now a new nation. And we then had a fairly democratic constitution that separated powers. So you had the legislature, you had the executive, you had the judiciary. So you had a prime minister. At that time, Kenya was independent but not a republic. The head of state was the Queen of England and government. Then we had also a devolved system of government called Majimbo. Kenya was divided into 7 Majimbos, with Nairobi being designated as an extraterritorial county. These Majimbos were headed by presidents. Then now, what happened was when they were now writing the Republican Constitution, when Kenya was becoming a republic 1 year later, that is where things started going wrong. They now created a president out of a prime minister who was now both head of state and head of government. So the president is one time a head of state living in State House. At the same time, he's also the head of government. And then the then prime minister was graduated from being a prime minister to becoming an executive president without going for any elections. That was in 1964. Thereafter, then they started the process of constitutional amendments. If you look at those constitutional amendments, they're altogether nearly 33 different amendments. And all of them had basically the intention of removing power from the periphery to the center. So we ended up creating a very powerful center, a president, in the name of president. And the president was above the law, could not be prosecuted. And so the presidency emasculated all other institutions of governance that time. You find that the Majimbos, those Majimbo was done away with, an amendment, so that they removed Majimbo and created a unitary system of government. Then they also to remove the Senate. It was a bicameral house, Senate and the National Assembly. Senate was dissolved and created just only a National Assembly, which is called the Parliament. Then they used to have regional assemblies. Regional assemblies were also dissolved, and ended up also called local government authorities. And they created a very powerful ministry called Minister for Local Government, who was an executive minister, but sitting here in Nairobi. So those assemblies basically were powerless. And then, on the other hand, they came up with a law that controlled the media. So the media itself was muzzled, could not speak. And then they also introduced what they call Preservation of Public Order Act, that allowed the government to arrest and detain anybody without any trial. If you are seen as a political dissident, you'd be arrested and you'd be sent to detention. And you'll be held in detention at the pleasure of the president. Some people spent 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Others spent up to 10 years in detention. They just arrest you. They take you to a police station. From there, you are taken to some room somewhere. And then an order is brought to you, a detention order signed by the minister in charge of internal security, that you have been found to have engaged in subversive activities against the Republic of Kenya. Therefore, your detention has become necessary. So you are picked up and taken. They will take you to different places. I spent years in community prison, Shimulatewa, Naivasha, Manyani, and so on. Yeah. So this is what was happening. And that went on for a long time. Until then they again came up, the Kenya was a multi-party system at independence. In 1969, they banned the only opposition party. Remained as a single party de jure up to 1981. 1981, when we wanted to form a political party, they moved to parliament and brought an amendment to the constitution, the infamous Section 2A, which made the country a de jure single party dictatorship. That's where now the Mama and Baba started. So Mama and Baba means the KANU was the only political party. You could not join any other party, and if you want to be allowed to run for any position, you are to get clearance from the KANU officials. If you're not cleared, you are not allowed to run. So that is where Mama na Baba came from. Mtukufu Rais. So people now started praising the president. You go to a rally, you hear, Mtukufu Rais, juu zaidi. That was the order of the day. Until now we decided to move again to form a pressure group called Ford. And we said we were going to, before we formed Ford, we had said that we were going to have, because they said that Kenya was not ready for multipartyism. Multipartyism will breed ethnicity. So you need a strong national party, which is KANU. So we said that, we want, Kenya is ready for multipartyism. And if you are doubting it, we want to go to Kamkunji and ask the people of Kenya if they are ready for multipartyism. Kenneth Matiba and Charles Rubia made the statement, and I joined them. And we decided that we are going to have a rally at Kamkunji on the 7th of July, 1990. 7th of July, that's what became known as Saba Saba, 1990. So we were mobilizing. Matiba was mobilizing matatus to get people to come to Kamkunji. I was mobilizing through the Gor Mahia group and Blue Union to get people to come to Kamkunji. On the 2nd of July, Matiba and Rubia were arrested. On the 4th of July, yours truly was arrested. And they were taken to detention. But wananchi turned up at Kamkunji and fought the police. And many people were shot and killed at that time. Over 50 people were shot and killed that time. You are fortunate to have also witnessed a similar killing recently. But you need to know that it happened in 1990, in July. But the Kenyan spirit did not die. Matiba went there, got a stroke, came out limping, was flown to London, but his life was completely undermined. Charles Obeah came out there, he nearly lost his throat. He had gone surgery in detention. I am the one who came out strong. So we moved on. Later on, we formed a pressure group called FORD, Forum for Restoration of Democracy in Kenya. Now we are now the Young Turks. Now we have been joined by the group I mentioned to you. And we fought as the Young Turks until eventually, when we brought in the older generation, Jaramogi, Shikuku, Muliro, Ndenge, Bamaris, and so on. So we formed FORD. And FORD now fought until eventually they came now the Kamkunji 2, which you now we'll be seeing pictures on the top of the trucks. That is not the Sabasaba. That was now 1991. But Sabasaba was that was October 1991. But Sabasaba was in July 1990. But by 1991, I had been whisked out of the country because they were looking for me again to pick me up for the 4th time. And I escaped town and ended up in Norway in exile. I'm just giving you this story to give you a summary of how the struggle was. Then we now eventually managed to get them to allow multi-party. And we formed FORD. Of course, eventually FORD split because of ethnic politics, cheap ethnic politics. And we went into elections divided. We split the votes because we have 3 parties in the opposition. Moi slipped through. With 34% of the votes, he beat us. We got the 66%, but we lost. Then now we moved again and we fought in Parliament. We insisted that reforms must be introduced because we were having multi-party under the old constitution. The structures were all still very single party. One time we staged a protest in Parliament on the budget day. When Moi was there, we stood up, all of us, and we were shouting, "No reforms, no budget. No reforms, no budget." The then Minister for Finance, Mr. Salim Mudavadi, could not read the budget properly. In the end, that is what led to what was called the IPPG, Interparliamentary Interparliamentary Group, that came up with the minimum amendment to the Constitution. But eventually, it took a longer time until eventually we now came up with a new constitution. This new constitution, of course, I moved the motion in Parliament to set up a select committee to spearhead the process of constitution review, which was passed, and I became the chairman of that committee, and we started the process of constitution review, ending up with a new constitution. I'm the one who appointed Yashpal Gai as the chairman of the Constitution Review Commission, and appointed all those commissioners. So then, when we were in Bomas, Kenyans came from all parts of the country to discuss the Kenya we want. And views emerged at Bomas people came from each and every district. There were 3 representatives. One must be an opposite gender. That's how we structured it. And we spent months at Bomas of Kenya and came up with what considered the will of the people of Kenya. Because first they started by public education of the people of Kenya. What is a constitution? How does it affect you? How can you benefit from a good constitution? So there are these public forums which were held, chaired by Professor Guy and his team, across the country. It is one that actually opened up the eyes of the people of Kenya. That's why Kenyans are the most conscious people who understand what a constitution is about. Then, after that, now we came up with the draft. But there were people who were opposing the structures that we are trying to introduce, particularly one, devolution. Devolution was opposed very seriously by the national government here. They don't want to let power go. But this devolution, I came about it when I was a shadow minister for local government. In those days, in parliament, you were the minister and you were the shadow in the opposition. So the shadow minister of local government. In that capacity, I went around the world. I went to Britain and looked at how their local government was working. England is a unitary system. Wales, they have a Wales Assembly. It's a devolved system. Scotland is a federal system. In Japan, they have a devolution system that worked very well. And that's the model that impressed me. And that is what we brought here. And we had 14 regions in the devolved system. But those who are at the center did not like it. They did not like devolution, and also did not like the structure of the executive. That's why after we passed it in Bomas, they went to court and stopped the commission from presenting it to Parliament. And then they took it to Kilifi, bastardized it. The senator from Kilifi here. Bastardized it. And then what they brought here, tulikataa. Tunambia yule msichana mrembo tulitoka naye kule Bomas mlipeleka wapi? Yeye mmeleta yule ambaye msanajisi mkambukiza ukimwi. Mnaleta hapa hatutaki. Sasa so you post it. That's where bananas and the oranges emerged. And in the end, when we went to the referendum, we defeated that draft constitution. So we did not have the constitution. We went for elections, divided, and you guys now are old enough to have been there in 2007, 2008. You saw what happened in this country. You saw what happened, what they did. And of course they were determined not to have us take power. And the chairman of the Electoral Commission was moved at a gunpoint to go and swear my opponent, whom I had defeated hands down. Now we went on, and eventually in that arrangement we insisted that we must have a new constitution. We ended up with this kind of new constitution. Most important feature here is devolution. But because they did not want devolution, they decided to make them so tiny, small, so that they can be controlled from the center. From 14 that we had at the original Bomas, They ended up with now 47 counties. You see? South Africa has only 9 provinces, a devolved system. Nigeria has got 35 states. But Nigeria's population is over 200 million people, and they're double the size of Kenya. But their units are much bigger. Here they wanted them to be very small. Now they even want to make them smaller. You heard what they were saying then in Boomers. So now, let me get to the point. The democracy can only be strong if institutions are strong. We have 3 arms of this government in our current constitution: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. All these, they are interdependent, but each one of them has got a specific role to play. The legislature is mandated by the Constitution to make laws. Then, and also to oversight the executive. The executive uses the laws which have come from the legislature to govern the country. And then there's judiciary that ensures that in the implementation, the executive does not overreach itself or violate the constitution or the laws. That is the work of the executive, of the judiciary. So for democracy to thrive in a country, the legislature must be strong and independent. So a strong, independent legislature. Secondly, you must have also a truly independent judiciary that is not subservient to the executive. Because the executive has the power. The executive is the one that has the power to raise resources. They're the ones who tax the people. And they tax the people in order to provide services. But the voice of the people comes through the legislature. Because they're the ones who are with the people on the ground. They're the ones who represent the people on the ground. And we know how the people feel. They know, the ones who know where the shoe is pinching. So, now, what are the problems we are having in Kenya today? How is democracy under siege today? What are the threats to our democracy? What is the threat to our democracy is that there's no respect or fidelity to the Constitution of 2010. Those who have been tasked to implement it are those who do not believe in it. Those who are right now there were the ones who are opposing that Constitution in the referendum of 2010. Therefore, they want basically to take this country back to where we came from. If you look at what's happening. Number one, legislature. Legislature is under serious threat. By the results of last elections of 2022, last year, when the results were announced in the National Assembly, the Azimio coalition had 172 seats. The Kenya Kwanza coalition had 165 seats. The majority coalition was one who should be the leader of majority in parliament is Mr. Opiyo Wandayi of Azimio. But they started immediately when the results were announced to start poaching. Immediately before being sworn in, they had already bought a party which was an affiliate of Azimio called UDM. Then the other one called PA. Another one called Maendeleo Chap Chap. Cross the floor to join the other side, making therefore Kenya Kwanza now have a majority. And that is how they managed to win the speaker elections. And they impose their person as a speaker of the National Assembly. Those, if the judiciary was right, those elections should have been nullified. Because those people who had moved, they were elected in Azimio, should not have been allowed to participate in the elections. Because they had defected. And under our laws, if you move from a party that sponsored you to elections, you are required to resign or lose your seat and go for a by-election. That has not happened. So now Kenya Kwanza is enjoying artificial majority in parliament. Then they went on again to now raid the other parties. You've seen members of ODM going to State House announcing that they are going to work with this Kenya Kwanza government. You are elected on an ODM ticket. If you want to work with Kenya Kwanza, resign, go back for a by-election and be re-elected and come back. Then they raided now our other new party, Jubilee. Several members of Jubilee announced that they are now going to work with Kenya Kwanza. They are moving away from Azimio coalition without following the process that is provided for in law. You cannot just announce Azimio is a coalition, there's an agreement. If you want to remove, you must follow the process, because the leadership of Jubilee is very much still in Azimio. But members of Jubilee Party who are elected in Jubilee Party, therefore Azimio, are now sitting on the other side of the house. So now you see, Parliament has completely been compromised. They are enjoying an artificial majority in Parliament. And now they can pass all the laws that they want. Bills are published, they're taken to State House, members are called there, and they're told you must pass this bill as it is. When it comes to the House, there's even no debate. The Speaker normally should move a procedural motion to reduce the time that is allowed to members. In the old days when we were in that parliament, you could speak for the whole day on a bill. There was no time limitation. And continue again the following day. Only when the time was closing near is when either you call the mover to reply, or you reduce the time. But you cannot reduce the time below 15 minutes. Usually it used to be 20 minutes. Now they say you have only 5 minutes to speak on a bill. What can you say in 5 minutes on a bill? And when you start speaking, after 3 minutes, the first light is flashing. After 5 minutes, the red light. They've removed the speaker from you. So you can't continue talking. So this parliament is useless. It's just a rubber stamp. And you have a speaker who is once a speaker is elected, first, if he was a member or a leader of a political party, he must resign from that political party. And he must be neutral. You have a case here where speakers are attending political rallies, speaking on issues which are before Parliament. Themselves, they are already taken aside on an issue which is before him as a speaker. What kind of parliament is that? What kind of parliament is that? A speaker is not supposed to take sides. A speaker is supposed to be somebody who is neutral. And you have a speaker who every weekend is accompanying members of parliament on Harambes. He's the one giving the member money for Harambes, and he's going to take them there, and he's talking there now as Kenya Kwanza. And hurling also insults at Baba. but he's a Speaker of a National Assembly. So the National Assembly is completely in disrepute. The speakers themselves have shown by their own actions that they are not fit to be called speakers. You've had speakers in that house who have excelled themselves. The founding speaker was called Sir Humphrey Slade. He set a standard, a bar, so high. If you go and read Slade's rulings, you see this is a speaker speaking. And with several other speakers. Another one was the speaker, Kenneth Marende, a true speaker. You know, then Parliament was Parliament. Today, this Parliament is Shenzi Parliament. It's nothing. So then they also corrupt members of Parliament. Because what is happening is that Parliament has budgeted money that it does not need. There's too much money in Parliament because they actually blackmail the legislature. And therefore, you've got money to bribe members of Parliament with the trips. I'm going to send you to Ireland. You can go with your wife or your girlfriend. You can go to the United States. You can go to Australia. You can go to Germany, and so on and so forth. So MPs most of the times are on the air. Some of them change clothes at the airport. And then they come, they go to Mombasa. All the committees meetings are held in tourist hotels in Mombasa. And you can go there with your darling or your girlfriend. So there's nothing happening in the legislature here. Then you see the amendment that they bring. Some big amendments which are unconstitutional, and they are pushed and passed without any debate in this parliament. So you don't have a parliament that can oversight the executive. You don't have a parliament that can, that's one. Two, and this is what is happening today, happened in the 60s. So history is repeating itself. That's why I started by telling you the more things change, the more they remain the same. Two is now the issue of the judiciary. You see, judiciary, it's also been raided. Judiciary is now making rulings which are in favor of the executive. The executive can threaten you. You saw the senator for Busia, Okiya Mutata, challenging the finance bill in court. And he was told directly by the chief executive of the chief of the executive that you're wasting your time. I am the president of this country. You can never defeat me in court. I will defeat you. And then the chief justice puts together a bench which is user-friendly and makes a ruling in favor. Okay? You're saying this matter is still going on, but you say that you are removing, this had been suspended, the implementation of finance bill had been suspended. Then they say they are removing the suspension, but allowing the case to continue. So, the people are being taxed already as there's a case in court. You see, that's the kind of judiciary that we have. And several others. Right now, we are going to go to Mavoko, where demolition is going on right now. And we saw the kind of brutal demolition of structures going on in Mavoko. Bulldozers are moved there and tearing those structures like pieces of paper. You guys have seen that. You see, you think that this is something like from the Wild West. It was happening right here. And the ruling was made on Friday by judiciary in Machakos. The ruling was made on Friday. On Saturday, the bulldozers were already on site, pulling down those cities. And these are people who have lived there for years. They have constructed those permanent structures, homes, you have seen. Some of them have acquired loans from banks to put up those structures. Then there are schools. Children are going to school there and exams are coming. And they're being demolished. Churches are being demolished in that place. Even if you are president, and you know that because you are maybe the one who was behind this case, because he said, we now got a ruling yesterday, and we are going to remove these people. And 1,000 acres we are going to give to special economic zone. Others we are going to do affordable housing. There's housing already in that estate. It does not say anything about the people who are resident there. If you are a responsible, caring government, even if there is a ruling, you first give these people notice. You're given notice, 3 months to vacate. And what you do, a caring government, look for an alternative site and help these people to construct new shelters there. These are human beings. They're men, women, children, people who are disabled, who are living there. And this is supposed to be an independent country. And you're saying you are caring government. And you should go at the Mahasla, at Mama Mboga. Where did that language go? Where did that language go? You're doing this thing to your own people. You think this is probably Palestine. When you see the kind of destruction going on in Mavoko. That itself tells you the erosion of our democratic system. Because we have a new constitution, but the gap is here between the constitution and the implementation. People discard the constitution. The people who were brought up in the days of Mama and Baba, and that's where they want to take this country to. Now you see, devolution, they are bringing amendments every other day. They're being built every day. Like, for example, health. Health is a devolved system. Now they're going to up what they call the community health care system. They want to run from Nairobi. They refuse to give resources to the devolved systems. The counties, we had said it should get minimum 15%. But now we're saying they should get 35%. They're not even getting that 15%. You see, the money you're keeping here, you want to go and do it yourself. Community health care. The money you're going to pay there, why don't you give it to the counties? They need the issue of housing, affording housing. It's a devolved system. They want building houses all over the country. Markets. Markets belong to county governments. They want to build markets and hand it over to the counties. Industrial parks. They want to build it up here. If you take that money and put it in the kitty of the county government, you will go beyond 35%, even 40%. And then you remain to supervise from up here. Let the counties now compete in implementation. That is how this country will develop much faster. But these things are held up here because of procurement. Who's going to do the tender? You see, that is another thing. The corruption. Corruption. That's why they want to be the ones who are tendering. They're the ones who are appointing contractors. They're the ones who are paying contractors so that we'll be able to get commissions. In infrastructure, roads, In my earlier incarnation, I was a minister for roads and public works. And I'm the one who brought reforms in the road sector. What you call Kenya Roads Authority was formed under my charge. Kenha, Kera, Kura were all formed under my charge. And I was working with the World Bank in these reforms, and I was really opposed and criticized for doing it. But we wanted to create more efficiency in management. But that was then under that old constitution, which was a unitary system. With a devolved constitution, there's no need for Kura and Kera. All those responsibilities should be transferred to county government. There's no reason at all why, apart from the highways that pass across Nairobi here, why the national government should be having roads in Kariako, having roads in Madare, having roads in here. There's no reason why. That should be the responsibility of Nairobi County government. There's no reason why this government should be having roads in Mombasa. At Kura, some road in Mombasa which Mombasa government cannot touch. In Kisumu, in Eldoret, in Nakuru. Why? And in the rural areas, so many roads in the rural areas, what you call rural access roads, which should be county government roads, but all still controlled by Nairobi here. They cannot even maram roads there because those roads are under the national government, and they refuse to take money down there. That's why the devolution is not working. Devolution is not working because it's not being empowered to work. You see, the Ministry of Health budget this year has grown by 17% at the national level. And most of it recurrent. That money should go down. Those people should go and work in the county government. The national government should only be dealing with level 5 and 6 of hospitals. Leave level 4 downwards to county governments. Then the health sector will be efficient. So down there, nurses and doctors are going on strike because they're not being paid. Why? Because the government is not getting the money. You're blaming counties for fault which is not theirs. So the constitution is under threat. I mean, the devolution is under threat. So what am I saying, therefore? I'm saying that our democracy is under siege. Our democracy is under siege because of state capture. State capture of the institutions, of the legislature, which has been completely captured and castrated, and of the judiciary. And all other independent institutions are all under threat by this regime. So therefore, I say that we need to unite as a people and rescue our democracy. I want you to remember the words of Ronald Reagan, who was a former president of the United States. And he said this way: freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-fought lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free. Democracy and freedom are never guaranteed. They never come naturally. They have to be fought for. Because the future of this country is in your hands, I encourage you to keep your feet moving forward, and you will have no better friend and partner than yours truly. Vijana hoi! Vijana hoi! Vijana hoi! Asanteni sana.
You take a question and answer a few questions.
So I've been asked to take a Q&A shortly. Question. Give a mic.
Later. Yala power. Yala power. Kwa sababu ya wakati, we've heard what our father have told us, ndio? It never came easy. It has been through a painful process. Sasa nataka nikaribishe Otiato. Otiato ako wapi? Ya Otiato, chukua mic. Sawa. Kwa sababu ya wakati, kila mtu angependa kuuliza maswali. Lakini kwa sababu baba yetu anakimbia mahali, tulikuwa in groups. So we are going to allow only 3 people from those groups to ask questions on behalf of those groups. Sawa. So Otiato anza na mtu wa kwanza, wa pili na wa tatu. Tafadhali kwa heshima.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency, my name is Caleb Ikenye. I am from Molo Sub-County, Nakuru County. Nakuru County, and I'm very proud to be here with you today. I'll only ask you one question. Of course, we share you as a country, na tunafurahi sana ya kwamba baba si wa Nyanza peke yake, baba ni wa Central, baba ni wa Rift Valley, na baba ni wa Coast. Na kwa hivyo mimi ninashukuru sana. Kila nitakuuliza baba, how does it feel to have a very big heart that you can contain betrayal? I'm personally from Jubilee Party, and I was asking myself, how painful is it in your political journey? How has it felt to be betrayed by people who once said that they are loyalists to you? And how does it feel to accommodate others, wale ambao wanakuja vijana hivi? How does it take to build trust with you? And then finally, mimi nataka nikushukuru sana. Katika safari yako, kuna wale ambao bado tunaamini ya kwamba, and you inspire us a lot, ya kwamba hata safari ikiwa ngumu aje, bado we need to push on. And we pray that God will grant you long life. Na ukipata nafasi, mimi nimepata nafasi, tunakuinvite ukuje kule Molo, ukuje utembee, usalimie vijana, na Mungu atakubariki.
Asante. The next.
Okay, we are going to the next question. Honorable Victor.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm Victor Opio Okelo. I'm a political environmentalist. I'm the winner of the Global Environmental Stewardship Honor in India last month. And it's an honor to ask someone who is a sphere in all fields. Politically, Baba is an enigma. Environmentally, Baba is a climate change. This is evident on his entrance on the African Climate Summit. Tuliona, the entrance for the presidents, and Raila, the people's president, came there as a climate change. His Excellency, Baba the Sixth. This is my question. There is a say in West Africa that what we do today, we need to echo to our children's children. I'm really disturbed. Not politically alone, but environmentally wise. I announced I wanted to do a tree census in Nairobi. I had so many calls and I was one not to continue with that thing. Just as a matter of climate change and also politically, being a political environmentalist, we're really frustrated. Going to the relevant offices as a young man, I'm a Kenyan, I've planted up to 58,000 indigenous trees, 712 fruit seedlings in schools. But when I go to the relevant offices, just my name alone gives me a block at the entrance. Baba, I'm asking you this, help us. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you so much. Next.
Okay, next question to Madam Florence.
Yes, gender.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Florence Ayo Onyango from Siaya County, a young aspirant for that matter. And I just want to tell Baba that the third liberation, according to you, Honorable Raila Odinga, is democracy in itself. And, in your own scope, we believe that Kenya is an autocratic state that needs to sharpen its fundamental rights and freedom, and that you are the Messiah that will do that. So you have been doing this for over 20 plus years now, consistently without backing out. And also vying 5 times for presidency is not something that we joke about as the youth of this country. We are looking at you, and it's actually very motivating. So what is the ideal image of Kenya that has kept this celestial fire that keeps burning inside you for the pursuit of your dream? Thank you.
We are getting the last question from this room.
And I hope should be the last question.
Hello, my name is Diego Kuriandai, and I'm from Embakasi North. I'd like to ask your right honorable, the only honest man I know. The second is my father, and the loyal man of our life, the peace founder and the democracy leader, Mr. His Excellency, Baba. We as youth, we have a lot to do, but why don't you give us a word and a chance? We start with those who decided to defect from the party and betrayed you. Why don't you use us? We work on those from the ground till to the top. As right now, you're not so much energetic to fight with them, but please, here we are. We are yours to use. Please. I really thank for this opportunity, and I really like to ask another question, but my secretary has something to ask too. Please.
1 minute,
good afternoon.
please.
Brenda from Kibra constituency. My question is, what is the best way to promote youth empowerment that our political fathers that we have here today have on table for us? As Baba has said, that during their time in Kibra, he started as a youth. And currently right now in Kibra, as we see, youth don't have that power to partake the responsibility that Baba back then used to partake. So my question is, what form of empowerment can we give our youth at the ground to fight for democracy?
Okay, thank you very much. We are done with all the questions. And before I sit down, Baba, to your information, we've got various youth from all the areas across the country. We've got youth from Coast. We've got youth from Nyanza, that is Western region. We've got youth from Central. Okay, we are here, all youth across the country. And these people, they would like to go back home in the name of Baba Raila Odinga. Thank you very much.
Haya, asanteni sana. Baba, kwa heshima, dakika moja tu, tuko na MDD member. Nataka ulize tu swali moja tafadhali.
Thank you so much. Comrades Power. And Baba, thank you for sparing time for our members here of the Yala. One of the questions that I would like to ask is that we have the parliamentary system and the presidential system of governance in democracy. Today we've seen members of the cabinet going to the parliament. And being that we are in the presidential system of governance, is that one supported anywhere? And number two, what would be your view? Would we take the direction of remaining with the full presidential system that we adopted? Or would we go the parliamentary way system of governance in democracy? That is my question, Baba. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to illustrate one thing. Baba, His Excellency, as we are here, Yala has got members from all over the country. Some of them have come from Coast, Nyanza and Kisumu.
No, we just said we are not attending the sessions when members of parliament come.
Yes, His Excellency, on behalf of Yala. Yes, on behalf of Yala, Yala decided to bring all our members across the country, all from Coast, Kisumu, to come here and be with us so that we can get wise wisdom from you. So they are here, and I know after this they shall be going home. Thank you, Baba. And Baba, from here, tell us how we are going to deal with the toothless parliament. We are tired. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've got members of parliament here, and on their behalf, I'm going to ask Party Secretary General, Honorable Edwin Sipuna, to say thank you.
Thank you, Jacom. Vijana Oe. Vijana Ria. Your Excellency, you've just surprised me. I wasn't expecting to speak because it is usually good that we also allow these young voices to have the stage that we have. And I just wanted to comment on two things. Your Excellency, first of all, I want to advise these young people that there is nobody who's going to invite you to do anything. There's a story that Jacom doesn't like me telling again about how he became Secretary General. There was somebody there, and he was asleep. And I decided to go there and declare myself the SG of the party. So, in these constituencies, you have seen people who have decided that they want to go. And you know for a fact that without ODM and without the support of Baba, they are not going to come back. What you should be doing now, because as the SG I'm seated there, you should be introducing me to the acting member of parliament for Langata. Who is there? Ako wapi? Senator Kisumu iko hapa? Yuko hapa? Hiyo ndio unatakana unasema. Unasema Baba, kama huyu mtu ameshindwa na kazi, mimi niko wapi? Niko hapa. Sawa sawa. Jambo la pili, Your Excellency, as you are aware, we in the minority do not support the amendments to the standing orders that were brought to allow cabinet secretaries to come to the floor of the House. And we do not just object with our mouth. We objected during the debate for the amendments of the standing orders, and after we were defeated, because as you know, we in the Azimio side will come with arguments and points and alternatives, but those other guys just come with numbers. They just say, okay, give Sifuna his 5 minutes to talk. At the end of the day, we know he doesn't have the numbers. So we were outvoted even during that amendment to the standing orders. But we proceeded to go to court. Your Excellency, that court case is going to be ruled on the 23rd of October, which is a few days from now. We want the High Court to pronounce itself because, in our view, they took a shortcut to amend the Constitution to allow members of the cabinet to sit in Parliament. So once that decision is made, we want the courts to pronounce themselves, and we are hoping that in this particular case, the court will stand to defend the Constitution. Other than that, Your Excellency, because of time, I really don't have anything else to say. I want to encourage you, young people, that this journey that you have started, if you are calling yourself leaders, you must show yourself as leaders. You must behave like leaders. I have had an opportunity to meet some of you. Ikenyi, who was speaking here, they came to see me in Parliament. And I gave you a warning that you should give to these other colleagues of yours. Tell them that if you are genuine people in the journey of leadership, I am telling you, you will succeed. But kama ni mradi, unajua pia sisi tunachoranga hizi miradi. Kama ni mradi utajulikana tu hii ni mradi. But if you are serious, there are people here who are willing to support, like me personally. I am willing to support young people who are genuine in growing themselves as leaders, to involve themselves in the political leadership of this country, because we also started like you and we were supported as well. We are not here on our own volition. Personally, it has been Baba who has held my hand all this time by identifying talent. You should be able to be identified as a talent, as a serious person who wants to grow in the journey of leadership, and we will support you. I thank you, Your Excellency. I don't want to say anything else, but everything that has been said about Parliament does not involve or include Azimio leaders. Thank you.
So you've heard it now from the horse's mouth. Now there are some questions which came, some actually was same question asked twice. This one of betrayal by the youth. How do you feel that you've been betrayed? Well, betrayal is human nature. You see, Jesus was betrayed. So this is a very old sin. It started with his first human being. Even Adam was betrayed. So sometimes it's because of greed. Somebody thinks that side is better than this other side. He can get better opportunity that side. He runs to that side. But what I've learned in life is that most of the time they go there, eventually they just come back here. So I'm telling them kama ile ni historia ile umbu ambaye alibeba nyama kwa kinywa chake, anaenda juu ya daraja, anaangalia maji huko, anaona kivulivuli yake, nafikiri ile umbu amebeba nyama kubwa kushinda ile hako naye, akarusha hii kwenda kung'ang'ana kwa ile, akajipata hako na mamba huko chini kwa maji. So those are usual things. The other gentleman said he is interested in environmental protection, but this issue of inclusivity is being discriminated against because of his name. You see, this is a disease in Kenya which we thought we would cure. Mwalimu Nyerere taught Tanzanians huko ati kule Kenya wanajijua kwa msingi ya kikabila. Ati wewe ni Mjaluo, wewe ni Mkikuyu, wewe ni Mluhya na kadhalika. Kenya hapa Tanzania hatujui. Lakini naona kama hiyo ugonjwa inakuja hapa Tanzania. And he was trying to nip it in the bud. This issue of ethnic bigotry. A nation cannot develop if a section of that nation is being excluded from development. You really see a lot of negative energy that way. But look at the way they started. Look at the cabinet. Look at the permanent secretaries. Look at the heads of parastatals, the directors of those parastatals, and so on and so forth. It paints a very negative picture. Yet you are living in the same country with these people. It is actually primitive. It's primitive. And as a result of this, there's a lot of anger. If somebody is being bypassed in promotion because of his ethnicity, yet people from that community also pay taxes. A leader of government can sign and say that the government is a company, it's a corporation. There are shares. There are those who have got more shares, those who have got fewer shares, and those who have no shares. So if you have no shares, what are you doing in Kenya? Why are you being called a Kenyan? I mean, and such a person, somebody says that politics is primitive. It's primitive, but you're sitting with the same person there as your deputy. Why don't you sack him? So it is something that is very, very fundamentally wrong. Somebody like Mr. Rigathi Gachagua should not be a deputy president of this country. Then you said youth empowerment and youth space. Because as I told you, it's like a river that is moving. And the youth are all the times coming. And we all the times embrace the youth. That's the reason why I'm talking to you guys here. We always want to get the youth. As you see, Edwin here started as just one of you. Now it's becoming an old attack. But but it started, and we keep on recruiting, like the ones you're now saying who are betraying me. The youth have took from the college, and I mentored them, brought them up, Some of them reach a stage, they see ile nyama ni kubwa zaidi, anaenda huko. Hiyo ni shauri yao. We will continue because we are leading a life of sacrifice. I believe that this country requires people who are prepared to serve selflessly for posterity. You don't expect rewards here, but what will reward you is how what you've done is going to help the future generation to live in a better country than the one you live in. And then how do you feel about being unlucky, 5 times unlucky? No. I only, I ran 5 times, but really seriously only 4 times. And the real time I lost was when I ran for the first time, because I was basically just going to jog to, to get to know, but I came number 3. But I've never lost. So that is my pride. That gives me satisfaction. And I can say it even when they're here, I'd say that, you didn't win. And they know they didn't win. They know they didn't win. You saw the commissioners testifying at Bomas of Kenya, saying the truth, that we did not announce the real results. You saw Aida Kibwana yesterday writing in the Star, telling you that the results Kibito announced were not the results. Even the results Chebukati announced were not the results. They're not the results. And he knows it, that they're not the results. But see, what kept me going is the Kenyan spirit. Ultimately, Kenyans deserve better. And working this way, we will be able to strengthen democracy in Kenya. And one day, Kenyans will have a true, free, open, transparent elections. Thank you very much.
Yala power. Thank you, His Excellency. So because of time, we are moving to the next program. So the next program is a photo session. We are going to have photo session here with Baba. And then from there are some people who are going to proceed for the selfie. So I think we are going to arrange. Yeah. Baba atakuja hapa. Nyinyi mbaki tu mmekaa hivyo.